Hello and welcome to Money Life. This is Sucheta Dalal. Let me start by wishing you all a very happy new year. All of us are really happy to get rid of 2020. The whole year was a washout. We were deluged by the problems created by one little virus, shut down most of the world, and we're all looking forward to this year being different, maybe safer, healthier, but there are lessons from 2020. I mean, first of all, when we look back on it, we're all going to say we lived through this crazy, dangerous year. But when it comes to your money, I mean, I'm sure all of you have thought about your health considerably in this 1 year, but when it comes to your money, have you done as much of thinking? So I'm going to talk about 4 issues, 4 learnings from last year, which you need to take forward probably for the next year. Now, if you look at it only from the stock market perspective, then you would think nothing happened. Nobody lost their jobs, nothing went wrong, the economy was booming. Because take a look at the way the Sensex has been moving. It's almost as though the Sensex was immune to the virus. So it soared from 41,253 on 31st December 2019 to 47,613 on 29 December 2020, which is a 15.4% return. So if you're just invested in 30 Sensex stocks in the beginning of that year, by the end of the year you would have made a 15% return. Nobody ever does that, but it's wishful thinking. It was higher returns than anything else. When people began to work from home, so you were sitting at home, everybody apparently looked at the market and said, why aren't we investing there? Because bank interest rates were falling, so your FD returns, fixed deposits or term deposits, have dropped to as low as 5.5%, which is terrible. I mean, when you're going to live on your savings, obviously you're looking around, and people who are working from home apparently looked at the stock market, and the number of new investors rushing to the market is very clear from the number of depository accounts that are open. You can't trade in the market without a DP account. So apparently the number of DP accounts reported by the 2 depositories, NSDL 2.07 crores, CDSL 2.78 crores. 1 million new accounts were being opened every month for the last 6 months of the year. All the best to them. We've talked about this before in one of my previous video blogs. If you are investing in the market, we just hope that you have studied enough, not got carried away with what is happening, maybe revenge buying. It's an entirely different ball game. I'm not going to talk about that today, because I'm talking about people who are wanting their investments and their money to be financially safe and risk-free. So where do you put your money? Put it in banks, bank FDs. I already said that interest rates have fallen badly. But that's not all. We have a lot more to worry about banks. We have had bank failures. You know what happened to Yes Bank. It's taken over Lakshmi Vilas Bank, PMC Bank. And I think what we started the year really worrying about is that the government would bring in this new bill which would have a bail-in clause. So I think on banking, from that front, it's been a good year in 2020. So first, what the government did is hasn't talked about this depository FDRI bill at all. It was supposed to come out in a new form. We have scooped it in Money Life. If you look at my previous video blogs, you will find one there. So didn't talk about the bill. That's good news. The second thing they did, while probably they're still keeping the bill in abeyance, is they merged the large public sector banks. Now, there are a lot of pains about merging the banks, but that's not such a bad thing because of the kind of losses that the Exchequer has been taking by recapitalizing these banks. I'm going to come to that a little later, but again, on the good news side, 2 new developments. One is that your deposit insurance is 5 lakhs, which means that if you have up to 5 lakhs, even in a cooperative bank, and the bank goes under, your money is safe. It will take some time, so you have to still be alert. Take some time, but you will get up to 5 lakhs back. And they have not linked it to a bail-in clause as yet. So that is good news. If you ask me, I think it puts pressure on the Reserve Bank of India to be much more vigilant and brush up its supervision. The RBI has been found lacking in every bank failure. Now, there is one more element that's added, which is that the government passed a bill which said all cooperative banks, especially multi-state cooperative banks and urban cooperative banks, would come under single direct supervision of the Reserve Bank of India. So no more dual regulation, no more evading responsibility, no more saying that the registrar of cooperatives is also supposed to look at it, we were not responsible. The buck stops at the RBI. And there aren't, the largest number of banks in the country are cooperative banks. There are over 1,000 of them. So if the RBI is not vigilant, this deposit insurance will vanish and there will be chaos. So it cannot afford a problem over here. We hope that will make supervision better. But at Money Life, we have always advised people that barring a few of the big cooperative banks, if it were my money, I would not keep it there. Earlier I used to say I would not keep more than 1 lakh in a cooperative bank. Maybe it's next door. Now maybe up to 5 lakhs. But remember, if that's your only account, you may still be in trouble if there is any kind of short moratorium or things until it is fixed. So be careful about banking, but banking has improved. The number of losses in PSU banks will hopefully shrink. 10 banks have been brought down to 4. And like I said, cooperative banks are not 1,000, they're 1,500. And the pressure now is on the Reserve Bank of India. The issue of public sector banks has always been controversial. If you put your money in a PSU bank, it's safe. Doesn't matter if the bank's net worth is eroded, because the government can't, as the owner, can't allow it to sink. I think this couldn't go on forever, because the government used to take over even private loss-making banks. They have changed their mind. They've said we'll have less of these banks. Do you have any idea of the kind of money that you and I, and including people who don't even have a bank account, have been paying to keep these big PSU giants alive through recapitalization? The numbers are mind-boggling. But before I come to that, take a look at one bank. IDBI Bank was set up as by the Development Finance Institution by the same name, and it is under prompt corrective action. Life Insurance Corporation took it over. Initially, only 9,000 crores was put in. Over a period of time, this bank just kept sinking more and more bad loans, and this is a PTI report of 22nd December 2019, which quotes Nirmala Sitharaman, the finance minister, having said that the government has infused 21,157 crore in IDBI only from 2015. After this government came back to power, LIC has infused 21,624 crores. Both together, it is 42,781 crores for this one bank alone. And this has only reduced non-performing assets. It's still under prompt corrective action. Now you translate that into number of primary schools, healthcare, maybe vaccinating the whole country, and you realize that this kind of drain of public money just cannot go on. We've been lucky with public sector banks, but let's get real. You're down to 4 PSU banks. The government is very clear that over time maybe there will be privatization. Where else do you put your money? Bonds, NCDs, mutual funds. We've woken up into 2020 to those dangers as well. Look at what happened with Diwan Housing, what happened to Yes Bank 81 bonds. They were missold and people were told that they are as safe as FDs. They were just wiped out. Same thing with Lakshmi Vilas Bank. And if you ask me, if people were careful, they would have, we have done a video blog on this, that there is no liquidity in those bonds. You should not listen to paid financial advisors, relationship managers. They never have your interest at heart, and there are going to be problems. Problems with, you know that the Vadhavan group has one branch of the family which brought down Diwan Housing. The other branch, HDIL, brought down PMC Bank. One family, okay? 2 large finance companies by the same group. And this is because they were hand in glove with bankers, and in Diwan Housing, a forensic audit has talked about kind of Khoka companies and box companies and, you know, whole Bandra office that was completely fake. So what you need to do is my larger lesson, which is that you have to be Atmanirbhar, you have to depend on yourself. You cannot listen to relationship managers because they are selling you things that get them a commission and not what is in your interest. So mutual funds, I'm not going to get into details, but Franklin Templeton, this 6 funds that were shut down, if you ask me, That was bad enough. There is a forensic audit. Even the regulator is not making it public. And look at the manner in which they are getting people to vote yes to wind up the schemes. We are watching that. There is a court issue. Let's see how it goes. But mutual funds sahi hai is a rubbish slogan. If you apply it universally, you have no option but to do your homework. You want to know more? Read MoneyLife, www.moneylife.in, and Google it. How to select your mutual funds is a recent article that has been written by one of our authors. Finally, beware of Ponzi schemes. Now, the Ponzi schemes can be in any form. They don't have to be multi-level marketing schemes like QNet, where people have lost loads of money. It can be anything. It can be Sahara. Sahara turned out to be one big Ponzi with cooperatives all over the country, breaking every rule and just picking up money like a money guzzling machine. And because they used to pick it up from people's home and gave returns very regularly, even when the family patriarch or the founder was in jail for 2 years, people were just giving money to this group, and the money collected is mind-boggling. 1,10,000 crore over a decade, zero disclosures, no idea where it is spent. You want to know more about this? We have done a video blog before, because remember, this is a roundup because we are looking at what happens in 2021. So the lesson is that if anything seems too easy, returns are too high, it may just be a Ponzi where you're giving money because it's convenient, there's a higher return. We've created Telegram groups for all the people who have lost money in Karvy stockbroking. Again, this is another area that we're talking about. 18 stockbrokers have shut down. What has the regulator done? The regulator has said, and this is for people who are investing in the market, has made the rules tighter so that you are probably sitting and watching your SMSs and emails to look at every day about whether your savings are safe or they're not. Because the regulator has said that, yeah, okay, we were caught napping. 18 brokers have been expelled. Another 4 have shut shop. This is something we thought had ended in the 90s. So now what is our solution? Not that we help you get your money back. We create more and more rules. We make you accountable so that you are sitting and watching your investments hawk-like. It is a ridiculous state of affairs, but it again, Prime Minister's slogan, you have to be self-reliant. I'm sure a lot of you are feeling very angry hearing this, because you would feel, how much can we watch? Why do we have regulators? Well, I sympathize, I agree with all these conditions. This is the world we live in. We all get together and fight. We may slowly, one thing at a time, make a difference. But until then, we have no option but to be vigilant. If you like what I say, if you think it makes sense to you, please share this video, subscribe to it, and let others also benefit. Thank you.